Mr. Halhonik was sitting in the veranda. And Swami called Mr. Halhonik for an interview. All I can see, Hal stood up and he went like this, calling us. And we went in for the interview. And Swami told me to sit up front. And I sat right at his feet. There was so much love, so much joy, the brilliant smiles. I felt at that moment I definitely entered heaven.
Sairam, dear listeners. Welcome to Sai SOUL 100. Our guest today is Brother Neil Prasad, who is joining us from Lake Hapakang, New Jersey. Sairam, Brother Neil, thank you for joining Sai SOUL 100.
Sairam, Sister Prabha, thank you for the opportunity. My most humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba and Sairam, dear listeners. At an early age, I used to observe my great-grandmother and my grandmother doing the daily puja. And I would notice Baba's photo on the altar. And I said to myself, why is this God different from the other gods? And looking at Baba's photo, Baba got my attention there. I start, looking into the photo and, this God has an afro here. I wonder why, And I start feeling, as the days went by, I start developing this relationship with Baba. And in 1975, my grandmother, she noticed that I had a great interest in Baba. And she said to me, which one of these photos would you like? And I said to my grandmother, I said, this one. And that particular photo had Swami sitting on a chair with beautiful garlands on, and it was quite beautiful. And he looked like he looked like the God of the universe. Very powerful. In the mid 80s, my grandmother told me that, you're quite special. I think you adore Swami so much. You should go visit Baba. We'll take you to India to visit Baba and have his darshan and his blessings. And
This is when you were 15 years old?
15 years old, yes. 15 years old, yes. Mm-hmm. So the date was set, and I was very intrigued going to see Sai Baba. I was so happy the day of traveling to go to India. I was like, Swami, I'm getting closer and closer to you physically, and I can't wait for how Swami would receive me. Finally, we flew to Bangalore and arrived at the ashram. But before going into the ashram, I noticed on the street outside the ashram, there was a lot of unfortunate people sitting on both sides of the street with some health challenges. I started questioning in myself, and I was like, but God reside here in Puttaparthi. This is supposed to be like a fairy land or, heaven. And why there's so many people outside that are going through all these hardships? And this is very sad. So inside the ashram, everything is just wonderful, amazing, and it's time now to have darshan sitting on the sand. So the entire ashram just came to a standstill. Everything feels, at the moment, very heavenly. And looking to see in which direction Baba is going to be appearing. And the mandir doors open, and I can see the speck of the orange robe And, you know, seeing Swami, it's like, wow, he really looks like the Lord of the universe. And as he get closer, he walked towards us, and then there was my grandfather. And he materialized vibhuti and gave it to some devotees. And my grandfather had some, give it to my grandfather. And he was very emotional. And I'm still debating, like, what's going on outside and why does this have to happen? And then I start doubting Swami. So I just closed my eyes and I said to God that you're God and I am here. How can I overcome this? And the thought that arises at that time, it's all Maya. It's just an illusion, and it's their karma, what they're going through. But yet I had so much empathy for them, you know. And I was quite disturbed by all of this. So I left the ashram with some disappointment. I came back and my grandparents took me to the Manhattan Center. This is back in the 80s. And we're living on Riverside Drive. And I went to Riverside Park and I was sitting staring at the Henry Hudson River. And Swami, um, I felt Swami's presence very strong. And I went back to the apartment and went to bed that night. And Swami came into my dream and he said, you know, I'm always with you. I am always with you. I would never leave you. And each night for like 4 consecutive months, Swami would come into my dreams and each day, and I mean, every night. And back in 19, in the mid 80s, with my trip to see Swami, I had a dream that Swami says, you know, I would never leave you and I would always be with you. I would always be with you. And you should never have doubts. You should never have doubts. It was a Christmas of 97 and I wanted to go see Swami. Really, I just had this urge. I just, you know, I picked up the phone and I called the travel agency that I got my luggage and I went off to see Swami. So arriving in the ashram, being, I mean, being assigned to the shed, I was terrified. I was so terrified. I was like, oh, I arrived there early afternoon, running around. Got up next morning, like 3 in the morning, shower and ready to go. Attended Suprabhatam and it was heavenly, and Nagar Sankirtan. And time for darshan, Swami came out and he looked at me with this beautiful smile. It was heavenly. It was just, I tell you, it was beaming light and just around Swami. His aura was so bright and beautiful smile. And he walked away. And when Swami walked away, Swami, room. I need a room, okay? And just, you know. So I went for breakfast, and this devotee came up to me because I knew him from coming to Manhattan Center. And I said, sir, are you staying in a room? I need a room. He goes, well, yes, I'm staying all alone. I need a roommate because the policy here is that it's more than 2 people to a room, and if I don't get a roommate, you know, I would have to give up the room. So I said, fine. He says, okay, go get your luggage, get your passport. Let's go down to accommodation. Went down to accommodation, and he said, yes, you can now stay with this gentleman here. You can all both share the room, and it's a wonderful time. And every day I would go for darshan. Swami would look at me and he would smile and smile, and I was like, okay, well, that's plenty. That's enough. I'm very happy and I'm quite fulfilled. I'm And the day of Christmas morning, we woke up very early, went to Christmas caroling and the morning program. But at Christmas caroling early in the morning, we all went around the ashram with candles in our hand and came back and stood in front of the mandir. And Swami came out on the top of the veranda above the mandir and gave us darshan. Um, and he was wearing a white robe. And it was still, early morning, and but yet, looking up into the mandir just before the doors, they were opening up. Doors were opening slowly, and when Swami came out, it was like a force of energy that everyone felt. Like it just sweep the entire atmosphere of Psych Hall, and the energy was quite powerful. And it just filled our hearts. And I was speaking to other devotees from South Africa, from Europe, and they said, wow, this is amazing. And they said, yes, Swami really gave us a wonderful darshan this morning. Our hearts were filled with so much love. And some people were weeping, and some people were just in so much bliss. We went on to have breakfast and came back for the program. And the trip went on, and I stayed there for quite a while. And I also attended Mahashivaratri, and it was wonderful. Then came back, and then I came back, and then I went back again the following year, and I went back for 3.5 months. And my family's like, what is going on with you? What are you becoming? And I said, nope, I just want to spend time with Baba. I spent 3.5 months. Well, at that time, Mr. Hal Honig was going to India, and he said, I want you to be part of my group. Why don't you come with us and join our group? Come with us. Because at that time, I was doing service with Mr. Hal Honig. We were feeding the homeless throughout the city. And I called the travel agency and says, oh yeah, yeah, you want a ticket to go to India again? Who are you going to go see? That holy man? I was like, yeah, yes, my God. I told him. But this time I was like, I was like, yes, I'm going to see God. He's like, okay, well, let me book your ticket. And so I got my ticket and I coordinated it with Mr. Hal Honig, and he's like, yeah, okay. So we arrive at the ashram. So on that afternoon, we had afternoon darshan. We enjoyed that evening, and the following morning, woke up, went to darshan. Swami came back again. How many walked away, gave us a beautiful smile. It's like, oh my God, we missed the opportunity. And I was like, oh my God, I missed the opportunity. But Mr. Halhonik was sitting in the veranda. And Swami called Mr. Halhonik for an interview. All I can see, Hal stood up and he went like this, calling us. And we went in for the interview. And Swami told me to sit up front. And I sat right at his feet. And he was the most beautiful person that I ever come in contact with. There was so much love, so much joy, the brilliant smile, just the bliss that I felt. It was incredible, incredible. I felt at that moment I definitely entered heaven. This is heaven. I felt like the world did not exist, and at the moment, and then Swami looked at this Indian family, South Indian family, and they were speaking in Telugu, and I could not understand a word, but yet I felt, I felt like, oh my goodness, wow, this is incredible. Swami, he looked at me and he went like this 3 times, waved his hand, and he materialized Goddess Lakshmi for this Indian family. And out of nowhere, 17 inches tall, Goddess Lakshmi, gold. It's like, wow, I want to be with Swami all the time. I really want to be with Swami all the time. And so we keep materializing all of these. Then he says, what is happiness? And I guess, well, someone in the group says, did respond to Swami. And Swami says, no, no, no. Happiness is union with God. Then Swami went around asking many of us many different questions. And so he asked me my name, and I said, Neil Swami. Swami says, oh, Neil, it means blue. And I was like, oh, and he smiled, big smile, and, went around and bought some gifts from the back from another room, and give it to many different people in the room, devotees in the room. And the interview ended, and Swami sent us out with packets of vibhuti, and said, very happy. And then many days went by, and we were having such a great time. We called again for the second interview, and again I had some thoughts going through my mind, because my aunt, previous many years back, Swami had materialized a Shiva lingam for her, and she got 2 gifts at the same time. She got a Shiva lingam and a japa mala, crystal japa mala. So Swami again, I sat close to Swami at his feet, and materialized many things for many different for devotees in the room. And he looked at me, and I said, Swami, Shiva lingam. He says, yes, yes, I will give. Then I was like, well, I don't know if I really want a Shiva lingam. I think I would rather have Swami. I think I'll settle for that. And Swami looked at me and he smiled while those thoughts were going through in my mind. And the interview ended, and he filled our hands with packets of vibhuti and sent us out. And it was a day I'll never forget, because walking out of that interview room, I felt like, yes, I just entered heaven, but I wanted to keep that energy. I really wanted to keep that energy, hold on to that energy. So time went by, came back, and I continued doing what I was doing, working on my career, all those side activities throughout the week. And I mean, Swami has guided me throughout my life from a childhood up until today. Been blessed with a wonderful family, and blessed with many, many things that Swami has provided for me. And I constantly speak to Swami, constantly. I would speak to him, and I would get the answer. And if the answer doesn't come the same day, I wait patiently until I get it. But I absolutely don't do anything without his permission. And his omnipresent, yes, his omnipresence is here with all of us. Swami is always with us. I mean, we are so fortunate to come to know of Bhagwan. It's just incredible. I mean,
Sairam, Brother Neil. Swami truly does take care of everything, and it's amazing to hear your story, your deep connection to Swami at a very, very young age, and that total faith. I see a receiving picture of your Swami of your own from your grandmother, but most importantly, that love and that faith and that trust that you had in Swami, how it was questioned when you went to Parthi when you were 15 years old, and seeing hardship outside what we call as heaven, right? And then it took you a while to kind of reconcile and understand that suffering does happen, but we can have empathy and do service. And in New York, you do a lot of service to help people who would need some service of some kind, right? So that empathy, that heart has been put in there for you so that you can kind of give back in this way when you're back in New York as well. So many ways in Swami has come together to guide you as well, through pictures, through meditation, physically in front of him, even feeling the energy after his physical form has gone. I mean, Swami is truly that his Swami's energy is truly immersing out of you and coming out of you, and truly in tune with Swami. And very, very, very grateful for feeling very grateful to be able to listen to your story like this. Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for the opportunity,
Yes.
Sairam.
Sairam. Sairam, dear listeners, thank you for listening to Sai Soul 100 with Brother Neil Prasad. I'm Prabha Swaminathan. Until next time, Jai Sairam.